the residents there had a fit and they didn't know what to do. Believe it or not, there's politics in trees and a lot of money floating around in trees. And so they wanted to widen the sidewalks. The bike lobbyists showed up and we said, look, trees are good for humans, not just in real estate. They, like you
Right.
and I talked about, they add value.
Yeah.
And we'll go into more detail on that, of course, but not only that, they're so beneficial for humans. There's studies that show that cancer patients recover up to 20% more rapidly and 20% more frequently, give or take. Crime rates in major metropolitan cities go down when you've got mature trees. They actually go up when you have small baby trees, by the way.
Welcome to the Texas Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview Texas real estate professionals from active real estate investors, lenders, property managers, and many others that provide goods and services into the real estate investing industry in the great state of Texas. Our goal is simple: to share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level, and to meet the pros that can help you get there. Texas Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and entrepreneurs build the business they need to live the life that they've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
Hey guys, welcome back to our show. I'm your host, John Harcar, and I'm here today with Matt Latham. And what we're going to talk about with Matt, besides his journey into what he's doing as an arborist, he's going to focus on something that is unique. It's different, that I hadn't had on the show, and how the value of trees can affect the value of the property. So I'm super excited to talk about that, Matt. Welcome to our show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, John.
Yeah, very cool. And I've never thought about that, right? Like you said in our before we got on here, most guys are investors will maybe just bulldoze trees and put in new ones. So I want to talk a lot about that, but before we do that, introduce yourself. Tell us about your journey. What got you to be an arborist? What got you to look at the value of trees in real estate?
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. So I started in tree care in about 2003, so 23 years ago. And I kind of fell into it. I was working as an outside sales rep for another company.
Mhm.
Company folded. I'm out of a job. I don't know what to do. What do you want to do when you grow up? Well, a buddy of a buddy of a buddy kind of thing had a tree care company, and he paid me $8 an hour, $8 an hour to go drag limbs for him, basically. And, I really loved it. I'm a guy. I like being outdoors, and I grew up outdoors as a kid. Fortunately, I was on the tail end of your generation where we actually did that instead of just screens all the time. And so I loved it. I enjoyed it. One day, the boss man asks me, he's like, "Hey, you want to climb?" I'm like, sure. I think he was maybe not feeling well that day or whatever. And so I got up in a tree and I literally held on for like 30 minutes. I was terrified. It was just, I'm like 10 or 15 feet off the ground.
Yeah,
that's not even
that's scary, dude.
Well, and looking back on it now, it's silly.
Now you go up 80 feet and you're like, yeah, this is nothing.
Plus or minus, yeah. The highest I've been is about 130. And
wow, that's huge.
I was up in New Jersey, and we spent a little time traveling over the years and all over the U.S. and got to experience some really, really neat stuff.
That's cool.
And so anyways, I got done, but I got done with that tree, the first one, and, made the cut. There were like 4 cuts. It wasn't even significant. And got down. It was such an adrenaline rush. He asked me, "Hey, you want to do it again tomorrow?" I'm like, "Great, let's go." And
Can I go higher? You got a bigger tree?
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
Yeah, a little bit harder and a little bit higher each time. And, the rest is history, as they say. I went to work for a guy, realized he didn't know what he's talking about, but
Okay.
I started learning some things, started following some guys in the industry that really knew what they were talking about. They taught me some neat tricks. And again, here I am, a family man. I got to come home to my family every day. It's like, how do you do this all day, every day, play with chainsaws at height,
Carefully.
50, 40. Yeah. And make it home at the end of the day, not to a hospital, morgue, whatever. And so anyways, I really grew passionate about it. I lost my company in 2008 with just about everybody else I know. And, I went to work for this guy who he happened to hold the same credentials. You can see him in the background there that I hold now is a board certified master arborist. He was number 8 in the world. And he was one of the few registered consulting arborists. That's that blue and green one. If I can get my fingers to work here. And it turns out he was a living legend, and I had no idea. He actually fired me because I realized this guy knows so much more than I do, and I would just stay after work and pick his brain. And he had this like wall of fungus where he collected on the job site, and I'd ask, "Hey, I saw that today, Rick, and what's that one?" But it really started a process where I started to realize, man, trees are pretty cool. The way they function, the way they work. They're actually living, breathing, eating organisms just like you and I. They don't think like you and I. They're not sentient, by the way. Don't let anybody confuse you. They do bark a little.
Right.
But whatever. So, but they, I grew passionate about it. I realized, man, the science behind this, I love it. And one thing led to another. Next thing I know is now I'm getting certain certifications that this guy that taught me did. And, it became a passion project of mine as my career turned into my hobby.
That's awesome. And to kind of maybe correlate it to maybe some of our viewers that maybe and associate to the real estate journey of maybe starting and learning, you didn't have any experience in trees, right? You joined a guy that you needed a job, and did you go to school for trees?
No, I was a proud college dropout. I'm very pro education, but that was part of my thing as a kid I asked my economics professor one year, I'm like, what practical experience do you have? And he's like, no, I just went straight into teaching. And I'm like, that doesn't make sense to me. I think I want to learn from somebody who's been there.
Yeah, the mentorship, right?
Yeah,
you had the mentorship, and that's kind of the point I was getting at, is that, when you have the ability to learn from someone that's, where you want to go or has the knowledge that you want, and you seek that out, that's the accelerated growth path, as opposed to just kind of YouTube whatever that might be. So that's very awesome. So you learned from this guy.
I did.
What were some of the biggest challenges for you in the whole arborist world?
Really was getting to know how to do that. Because, most people think landscapers are tree guys. And, somebody made a joke. They said, hiring a landscaper to do your trees is like hiring your dentist to do your brain surgery or your heart surgery. It's like, yeah, they probably got the tools. That doesn't mean they should.
Right.
But, it kind of learning how to do this on like a master level. And we used to joke, we'd take these guys out. I grew up in Dallas area, and I'm in Houston now. Long story short was, we went all the way around the US and all that. But in Dallas, I used to compete climbing trees, and believe it or not, that exists. And for a while there, I did really well. Then I got old and kind of gray bearded and fat a little bit. And, I don't do that anymore, but it was so cool. We'd take these guys that knew nothing about climbing trees or taking care of trees properly. And we'd go find the biggest, baddest tree we can find. And we just, we'd set up little stations where you'd practice, and we'd practice our skills climbing trees.
That sounds cool.
Yeah, like for me, it took, what was that? 10 years, 15 years. to get good at what I did, because I had that one mentor who taught me the science side of things, but I never really had a climbing mentor. But I got involved in the competitions, and I'm watching these guys just smoke me, just make me look like an amateur punk kid who knows nothing about what I'm doing.
If you're looking for consistent, high-quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency. It's the most sophisticated, data-driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
And I started hanging out with those guys, and they taught me. Well, we'd go out and, like I said, we'd do these recreational tree climbs and practice for competitions. And we'd get guys that knew nothing about it. And we'd take that guy that knew nothing, and we'd make him a proficient climber in 6 months, in a 6-month time frame, and really good in like 12 to 18 months. And everybody we're hearing is like, yeah, it takes 3 to 6 years to get good at climbing trees. And we're watching it happen in 12 to 18 months.
Wow.
So that accelerated learning program you're talking about, it works. And
it's people showing you the shortcut,
that's exactly right.
The easy way to do things. So, and maybe just to give a more context to what an arborist does for our viewers, what is a master arborist? I mean, and how do you become a master arborist?
So there's a group called the International Society of Arboriculture, and they kind of set the rules for. They've done research. That's really kind of the baseline, if you will. Is certified arborist is essentially means I know what I'm talking about trees, or at least I say I do, and I was able to pass a test. So right now there's about 39,000 certified arborists globally, and just to put that into perspective, there's about 450,000 attorneys in the U.S. alone.
Wow.
So that shows us our priorities, of course.
Yeah, I know, huh?
Here on the western side of things.
Right. We complain about the air quality, yet we go kill trees.
Yeah, well, welcome to Houston.
I mean,
it turns out
I'm in Boise, Idaho, so I got a ton of beautiful, beautiful trees. But I also grew up in Orange County, California, where they'll cut any tree down they can to build up.
Yeah, and it's the same here in Houston. And I've been on a few passion projects of mine that they didn't pay me at all, but it's like, this is the right thing to do. And if you want to have a little fun, look up Save Montrose Live Oaks. And we actually won a competition essentially for let's preserve the trees. They were going to bulldoze about 284 mature live oaks on Montrose Boulevard here in Houston. Major cut through between the city. And the residents there had a fit, and they didn't know what to do. Believe it or not, there's politics in trees and a lot of money floating around in trees. And so they wanted to widen the sidewalks. The bike lobbyists showed up, and we said, look, trees are good for humans, not just in real estate. They, like
right.
you and I talked about, they add value. And we'll go into more detail on that, of course, but not only that, they're so beneficial for humans. There's studies that show that cancer patients recover up to 20% more rapidly and 20% more frequently, give or take. Crime rates in major metropolitan cities go down when you've got mature trees. They actually go up when you have small baby trees, by the way.
Really?
A little side note there. Oh, yes, they do.
Why is that?
We don't know exactly, but they've done a dozen or more studies in, like Portland is one example, where they've shown that neighborhoods that had the more mature trees that had stuck around for decades or even centuries, the crime rates were significantly lower than those in newer build. The gentrification, I'm sure, is the term you're familiar with.
Yeah, that's got to be. Well, now I was thinking too, people think like, oh, well, these people are new to the area, easier targets.
Oh, yeah. And then the other thing too is actual mental health goes up when you have mature trees. Even just a windowed view of a mature tree, ADD levels go down and symptoms go down. Depression symptoms go down. Overall well-being goes up. So maybe that has a lot to do with the crime rates and all that. I don't know. And
I mean, that's kind of the reason why we moved to Boise is the trees and the environment, the seasons, Huntington Beach or California, Vegas, the areas I grew up with or grew up and lived in, we didn't have those seasons. Right. So let's talk about real estate, right? How does, and I've never thought about that in any of the transactions I've ever done, like that tree going to lose me 10 or 20 grand, or is it going to, what is it?
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel.
How does trees play into the whole real estate appraisal factor?
Yeah, that's a great question. So there's again, a lot of research. This is not just me saying this. This is way smarter guys that came before me and figured this out. They basically found that a single tree can add between 7 and 15% property value. And it goes up from there up to 22%. And so for multiple trees, obviously, but there's a group called the Council of Tree and Landscape Appraisers. And they've codified what does it take to appraise a tree, and we go off of kind of universal standard appraisal standards to baseline that. But there's multiple different ways to appraise a tree. One is, what does it take to get a baby tree to the size of the tree that you lost? So let's say, for example, you're coming in for a new a gentrification home. Let's say you're bulldozing the 100-year-old, townhome or whatever, and you're putting in a little 3-story high rise, whatever. And you've got a mature tree on there, and it's way easier to get rid of that mature tree. Well, that mature tree may hold $20 or $30 or $40 or $50,000. The most I've put an appraisal on a tree was about $120,000 on one that was a live oak that was about 6 feet in diameter. We estimate about 400 years old. So, obviously that's a relative statement because some people don't want trees, right? And if that's the case, humble opinion, move to the suburbs. There's plenty of new build developments where you got little baby trees in the front yard. That's fine. There's a place for them.
What makes a tree value of $40,000? I mean, just picking a random number. I mean, how I could maybe see the value of a tree is, a mature tree with the shade can cut down the electricity cost potentially of running the AC and stuff, because I can see how that can translate into that intrinsic value. But like, how do you go and say, hey, that tree can save me 40 G's? Or
that's a great question.
You know what I mean?
So, and there is an annual return. So you've got carbon sequestration, you've got water runoff sequestration. We started using the term infrastructure when it came to trees, because they actually provide for the community, not just for your home, but they're providing many, many benefits for the community as a whole, both on an isolated individual scale and scale it up to the whole city. If everybody thinks in terms of preserving the trees and keeping the canopy, then that can be a huge benefit. But then, of course, there's the intrinsic, the property value is most people, not everybody. Again, some people want no trees. But most people in most places prefer a treed home, one with a significant canopy that you've got like you said, the shade benefits, you've got cooling benefits, you've got mental benefits, you've got aesthetic benefits, and intrinsic value. Some people plant trees in memory of people. And so they're all of those things add up to what is the tree worth. And again, we've got some formulas, we've got some math we can do to put a number on that and a dollar value.
So where do you line item that, though? Do you line item it under landscape?
Yeah, that would be landscape. It's actually considered a part of the property. So, it's considered a part of the home. So if you lose that, that's losing a part of the value.
It's a value in the home. Yeah, that's man, I never really thought about that. And you don't really, when you're talking to people, you don't really have that, hey, all the features don't necessarily include like a mature tree all the time.
Sure.
Well, so who is your customer? Like, do you market to builders? Do you market? I mean, like, who do you work with? What does your business model look like?
Yeah, great question. I am a consultant at this point. I don't climb trees as much anymore, although I do for fun sometimes. But I work with a lot of builders and developers. I work with a lot of municipalities. I work with a lot of volunteer organizations like the one we were talking about. One of my favorite things to do, and this is just my personal flavor, is I really love expert witness and litigation work. is, let's
Okay.
say a neighbor has a farm and they come in and they crop spray Roundup on everything, and you've got a wind that day and it drifts over into the neighbor's value. We call that chemical trespassing. Is what's the value? And let's say it unalives a tree. Well, that's a problem because that family loved that tree. And we have to figure out, first of all, how did that happen? Why did the tree die? Why is it no longer living?
Mm.
And if we can tie it to that chemical use or whatever, that's great. But sometimes you get like even vandalism. And so what we'll do
Yeah.
is we'll go in and figure out what happened. Did the neighbor prune the tree or cut all of the roots on their side? And now it's liable of falling over. Now it's lost its value because it's structurally compromised.
Huh.
So that's the kind of stuff I love. We call it forensic arboriculture.
Very
And
interesting.
yeah, figure
Very,
out who
very
done it.
interesting. Yeah,
I work with a
this
lot of
is
insurance
a
groups.
conversation I never would have thought I would have had. I'm not going to lie. Yeah, but this
Welcome to
is
my
great.
world.
That's why we have these.
That's
Well,
right.
but also too, like you said, not many people really take into account and realize the value of what the trees or that type of stuff can bring. And I didn't know that there was a Master Arborist. So congratulations on your Master Arborist achievement. If there's any folks that are listening to this that have a question about the trees on their, I don't know, how do they get in touch, man?
Yeah, great question. So I have started a little company called Arborist on Demand. And think of Doctor on Demand. Telemedicine for trees is essentially what we do.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I realized a long time ago. First of all, driving around Dallas, you're probably familiar with the area. The joke is it takes an hour to get from Dallas to Dallas, and Houston's no different.
Yeah.
As you know, big cities or whatever, and you've got a long distance between. I would drive an hour and 15 minutes, hour and a half, sometimes 30.
Yeah, especially
even two or 3 hours.
Dallas, Houston area. Yeah.
Oh yeah, depending on what time you leave too. You know, traffic can be brutal in both places.
Right.
And so and it was probably 2016 or 2017. I just said, you know what? I don't want to drive 2 hours to get to your house. The joke is, of course, tree doctors make house calls. But, you know, I tell my clients, hey, why don't we jump on a Zoom chat? Let's see if we can figure this out on the phone. If we can't, great. I'll just charge you to come out there and we'll just proceed as usual.
Makes sense.
But what I found, and I've kind of checked this with the industry, 80 to 90% of the time, we can get 90 to 100% of the way there. And it's kind of the same with telemedicine is you get on the phone. Yeah, they're not checking your reflexes. They're not sticking probes in your ear to look inside and all that. But what they can do is ask you questions. They can have you say, well, you know, raise your right arm like that. Does it hurt? You know, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, right. Of course.
And we could do the same with trees. It turns out, hey, bring a screwdriver, jam it in the ground. You have compacted soil. You know, that's a big issue in construction.
Yeah.
Is it creates an anaerobic condition in the soil. Well, that's great. If we can resolve that, that's going to get rid of 90% of the stress. Now the tree's on par. Let's say we have a fungus that we're dealing with that's growing on the trunk of the tree. Well, great. Break that off. Who's your local agriculture extension? Send that off to them for lab diagnosis. Let's figure out exactly what this is. We'll do a follow-up call and we'll start figuring out a good care plan for this tree moving forward.
Man, that's cool.
9 times out of 10, I just take away the stress from the tree. I'm like a tree shrink or a tree masseuse. I'm not even a tree doctor.
That's awesome.
They're living organisms, you know, they've got immune systems, they've got respiratory systems, et cetera. So
yeah, right on. Well, cool, Matt. Well, then I appreciate you coming on here. Great conversation. Guys, I hope you enjoyed it. You know, like I said, if there's any folks that, you know, want to reach out to Matt, we'll put all his information in the show notes. And, you know, Matt, appreciate your time again here, sir.
Thanks a lot, John. We'll see you.
You have a great afternoon, guys. We'll see you on the next one.
Thanks for joining us for today's show. If you're looking to take your business and your life to the next level, you really need to learn more about the Investor Fuel Mastermind. It's your shortcut to success. To learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other amazing entrepreneurs, 100% financing on your deals, member-only discounts, and so much more, please visit investorfuel.com/Texas. By the way, Investor Fuel is even Texas-based. Also, if you're interested in applying to be a guest on this very show, the Texas Real Estate Pro Show, please visit investorfuel.com/Texas. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube or your favorite podcast app so you never miss another episode. We'll see you on the next show.